I was thinking like, I was like, okay, I need to be this salesperson. Started putting on like a shirt and tie every day, going into the office. And I found myself within the first couple months, like looking in the mirror going like, who are you trying to be? Who are you pretending to be right now? And I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying what I was pretending to be and what I felt like I needed to be. And then once I was just like, I had almost a conversation with myself going, people like you 90%, 95% of the time when you're out and about.
Yeah.
Just be that same person.
Yeah.
Just be that same person. Learn to be comfortable being you.
It can be a barrier for some people not to start. The videos do not need to be fancy. Like
True.
honestly, sometimes just raw, basic, nothing fancy. Those videos can often work the best.
Yeah.
Because people they really see, they get a feeling of it's genuine.
It's genuine, right? Welcome back, everybody, to the Port City Podcast. We have a full stage today with amazing humans and amazing realtors. So I'm super excited to introduce Marc and Denise today, who are agents from the Moncton area and have been crushing it on YouTube, also in our group, the Wolfpack, and have been really utilizing and optimizing their brand through YouTube and through social media. And that's something I'm really excited to talk about today. But before we get into that, maybe just do a quick introduction on yourselves, how long you've been in real estate, and maybe what got you guys started in real estate. That's where I want to start this off.
Sure. Well, thanks for having us, by the way. This is
Yeah,
pretty
Thank you for coming.
This is
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Thank you for coming. I'm super excited. We've been talking about doing this for a while now,
Yeah.
and because we're both in the YouTube space, and I thought it would be extremely valuable to get us kind of both on talking about our unique YouTube journeys. Because as I was talking about as you guys came in, there's not a whole lot of realtors doing this.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of extra work on top of what we do, right?
It is.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to kind of dive into to what it takes and kind of share our experiences.
Yeah.
There's so much value to it as well, like
Yeah.
for us, but also for potential clients.
100%. And that's the reason that I got started in YouTube was like, it's like, how can I give value, right? How can we educate our clients better? How can we position ourselves differently? So what got you guys started?
So I guess a little bit of background for me. First, I've been in the real estate business for about five years now.
Very similar to me.
Okay, yeah. So my background is pretty well all in the retail sector. My last job was in the power sports business, so motorcycles, ATVs, generators, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I worked in a Harley Davidson, Honda, KTM dealership for 17 years.
Doing sales there?
I did sales for 12 of it, and then I moved over into managing the parts and accessories department.
Okay.
Yeah, so and it was a locally owned business. It'd been in the same family for like over 50 years, and I've talked about them before. They're just great people, top-notch people.
Yeah.
So I did that for 17 years. Before that, I managed a big sports store in the mall did that for 11 years.
This is
before
all up
that.
in Moncton, right?
This is all up in Moncton.
Yeah. That's where you're from?
I'm from Moncton, born and raised.
Born and raised.
Never left. Visited lots of places, but I've never lived anywhere else except Moncton.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I guess that's my my little advantage, maybe. You know, like I know the city pretty well. I know a lot of people. I know the businesses. I know, like. Yeah,
Right.
I get around pretty
And
good.
you're obviously passionate about it too because
Yeah.
you've lived there all your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It's my it's my hometown. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of my backstory.
Denise, are you from
yours?
Moncton?
I'm not. I'm originally from Oxford, Nova Scotia.
Okay, so still a Maritimer.
Still a Maritimer, yeah. I'm definitely an East Coast girl. Don't think that I'll ever leave. So, but been in Moncton for close to 30 years now. So longtime resident, and I feel like I've lived there longer than I ever lived anywhere else. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And then so did you guys get into real estate at the same time?
No, I've been doing it for close to 2.5 years.
Okay. Okay. Very
Marc,
similar to you, kind of.
Marc
Okay, so similar
joined
stories.
first.
Yeah. Yeah. Very similar.
Yeah, so my background is actually in the banking industry.
Cool. Okay.
I worked at Scotiabank for 23 years. Yeah.
Okay.
But, as every organization, they tend to restructure, and the bank went through some restructures, and my job had been eliminated a couple times. I was thankful that I was able to still find a position with the bank, but it kind of got me thinking at that point that I needed to start relying on myself instead of an organization to generate my own wealth.
100%.
So, and being in the banking industry is not really a stretch to look at the real estate market. So it's something that I followed quite closely. But Marc kind of beat me to it. I was too much of a chicken shit to kind of leave that security, but that's okay. That's all right. And then what happened is that I ended up going through 3 bank robberies. I experienced 3 robberies.
You experienced 3 robberies
Within 18 months of each other.
in Moncton?
In Moncton. Yeah.
I didn't know they were even that common.
Yeah. So, and the last one was very violent, like anything that you see on a movie. That's what it was like.
Stop.
Yeah. So after that, it just kind of changed my perspective about the workplace. I also ended up getting PTSD from it.
Right.
So
Right.
understandably.
Holy smokes, Denise! I had no idea. I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, that's when I just kind of had to reinvent or just kind of take a look at where I wanted to go with my own life and my own career, and so it was a good time for me to look at switching.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, and like you said, having more control, because it is, it's just like starting a business, becoming a real estate agent, right?
Oh,
when
it
you're,
is.
When you're doing it properly, you're an entrepreneur. We're entrepreneurs at the end of the
Absolutely.
day. Like
Yeah.
we're running our own business. We're building our own brand, responsible for our marketing and the whole 9 yards of it, right?
And I feel like, not to interrupt, but I feel like that's an area where if you're somebody interested in real estate, or you take the course or whatever, I feel like that's an area where they lack they're in giving you that information up front and preparing you, like
So
business taxes and
Yeah.
expenses and marketing and like
even
all
what
this
to do
stuff
on a
that-
day to day.
Yeah.
Like how to run your business on a day to day. Like you need to figure all of that out yourself.
You learn it on the fly, right?
do,
And
you
it
do.
depends who you're around. It depends what office you're at. Because I know for me, when I started at my previous brokerage, I kind of just looked around to the top agents there and tried to peek by and say, like, what are they doing? Like what?
Yeah.
And they try to watch their habits and see what's going on, and then try to take a little bit from everybody that seems to be doing well, right?
Yeah.
And the agents that were succeeding, and you really come in unequipped.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're really just taught the basics.
Yeah.
This is how to put a contract together. These are all the basics of a house, the basics of like electrical, plumbing. Here's like how to take the measurements. And then like the legal aspect, and then they pretty well say good luck.
Yeah. Here's your books. You take the books with you. You read 2 big books.
2 huge books.
Your
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
weekend in Fredericton. You take the tests, and okay, here you go. You're a real estate agent now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I know I was talking about a stat right before we started rolling, but there's another stat too. It's 90% of agents fail within the first 5 years. So only 1 out of 10 actually make it past 5 years, right? And it's
The-
like and that makes sense, because think of all the people that you probably wrote your exam with,
Oh, yeah.
and there's probably like 1 that might be still selling real estate.
Exactly. Yeah. And having been in it 5 years, that's not a stretch for me to think that stat is accurate. Like, because it's not easy.
No.
This is not an easy business to be in.
No,
Like,
no.
It's a struggle. Yeah. Like, talk about ups and downs. I remember talking with an agent one day, and we were just kind of, chatting or whatever, and talking about real estate and that it's not easy. And I was like, yeah, I have this saying I like to say is like, do you like roller coasters? You'll love real estate. Because
Emotional
it's just
roller
like,
coasters.
Oh,
That
yeah.
too,
It's
yeah.
Emotional
Sure.
roller coasters. And I find a big part of this business is like finding a way to maintain yourself, right? Finding a way to like, how can I make sure I feel good so that I'm operating good today?
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes down to like a structure. Like for me, it's like going to the gym is like essential. Is like essential for putting my mindset and my attitude right so that I can go out and help people. And it's it is a crazy career. Coming from the military, I was used to a different type of hard. I was used to this grueling, like kind of like mentally pushing yourself to the limits physically and mentally. I was used to that, but then coming into real estate, there was like this like emotional hardness where I was like, oh, now we're dealing with people's now I'm dealing much more with emotions than I was used to in the military. I was used to a hard, but this is a whole different type of hard. And it was a transition for sure. It was. How did you find the transition coming from the retail from like the retail space coming into real estate? Did you find there was a lot of converting skills, a lot of skills that you brought from before?
Yeah, for me, I guess a lot of stuff transferred well for me, just because by that point I had my style of how I like to deal with people, how I think people should be dealt with, and I did that in the motorcycle world too, where I don't think I ever sold anything to anybody. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I'll guide them, I'll help them, I'll give them the information, I'll walk them through the process, but I don't enjoy pushy salespeople.
Selling,
and
right.
so I've never been pushy myself, and I think that kind of has translated well for me in real estate. I people like that style in general.
People love that. People love that because you're more, it's more relationship orientated. It seems
exactly.
like you guys are both very similar in that manner where you don't seem pushy at all.
Yeah,
It's not like you're salespeople like sell. It's, you guys are finding ways to give value. It's like reverse engineering it, right? Like, how can I actually help people? And that's going to allow me to do well. The more you help people, the more value you give to the marketplace.
Yeah.
Then the
more it
higher
comes
chance.
back to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
100%,
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do that not as it's not just a sales tactic or whatever.
No,
It's
it's just who
like
you are.
it's genuinely how I think
Yeah.
things should be handled. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like it's-
And then that authenticity too, being authentic helps tremendously too, right? Like that was something when I first started real estate. I was thinking I was like, okay, I need to be this salesperson. Start putting on like a shirt and tie every day, going into the office. And I found myself within the first couple months, like looking in the mirror going like, who are you trying to be? Who are you pretending to be right now? And I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying what I was pretending to be and what I felt like I needed to be. And then once I was just like, I had almost a conversation with myself going, people like you 90%, 95% of the time when you're out and about.
Yeah.
Just be that same person.
Yeah.
Just be that same person. Learn to be comfortable being you in this career. And then once I did, that's where things started to work out even better.
Yeah.
Because then it's like now I'm just being me. Now it's this thing that can go on forever. It's not a facade. It's just
Yeah.
as long as I can be me, then it can go on and I can just keep operating that way.
Yeah, you
but
don't need to be
but there
on.
was a switch though. There was this point when I first started where I was like, oh, I need to be this salesperson. I need to be this like put together with a shirt and tie and like.
He's laughing because he knows.
Yeah, like
It's something
I went through this like imposter thing at first.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, I still struggle with that because I had so many years in the banking industry. I was in a management position for many of that. So I would go in and I was in suits every single day and I had to portray this very professional image. And it's almost like an identity crisis because now I'm like, I don't want to be that person anymore. I'm not that person anymore. I want to be more authentic. Like today I was going to ask if I could just be in my bare feet because that's kind of like, it's more of who I am now. Even though I'm professional, and I have a lot of the same values that Marc has when it comes to our clients. It's been a transition to find out who I truly am now and in this industry and role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even when I started, like I was driving like a really beat up car that had like rust around the wheels and stuff. And I was kind of self-conscious about that. And I'm like, I don't have the best car. All these other real estate agents, they show up. Some of them wearing suits. They're in Mercedes Benz. They got BMWs. They got all the nice clothes and all this stuff. And I'm like, but I can work just as hard or harder than them, regardless of what I'm looking like, as long as I work hard. That's where I just started to like rewire it, like just outwork the competition here, and then things should work out. And then that's that's kind of where I realized, like, if I put my ego aside and just say, like, I am who I am, but I'm gonna put my best foot forward for every client. That's where I really started to, like, just kind of break through that uncomfort of feeling like I need to wear a shirt and tie all the time, right? But it is funny when you kind of change careers like that. So then you coming from banking, like you were saying, Denise, there's a lot of correlations between banking and real estate too, right? So there's probably a lot of things that you're able to carry over, a lot of skill sets and even knowledge you're able to carry over into real estate that has probably helped you significantly too.
Definitely.
With dealing with clients and
Yeah, my whole background was in customer service in the bank. So just knowing how to speak with people, how to treat them, put their needs, above all else. So a lot of transferable skills, definitely. It still was and is a transition though. Just because like the bank was very prestigious, like it's very respectable, right? Not that real estate's not, but and it's really unfortunate that real estate agents get a bad rap.
I know,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I have been very surprised with some of the pushback, I guess, or the feedback that I've received from the public. It's just been very surprising.
Like the used car salesman kind of like look, right?
Exactly.
Oh, a real estate
Yeah.
agent. As if you're going around like scamming people somehow.
Right.
As if and I think like I don't think people understand like there's such a process to buying a house. Like you can't push a product that someone doesn't want on somebody. There's inspections, there's lawyers, there's mortgage brokers, there's so many steps. Like a client's got to really want a property to make things work, and then like all the stars have to align with the pricing and the negotiations and being competitive and all this stuff, right? Like I don't understand why people look at us and go like, oh, a real estate agent. Like
I don't either.
we're dealing with some people's largest purchase, their largest transaction, their largest sale, the most important sale of most people's
Absolutely.
lives, right? And there's a lot to it that goes into it.
And we don't affect the prices either. We can't change
Right,
the market prices. We don't have that power.
Right. You guys are driving the home prices up, and it's like, well, the market does that, right? And then
Exactly.
actually, if you zoom out, here's what blows me away: is a lot of this conversation is from locals. When you actually zoom out and look at Canada as a whole, we still have some of the fairest price real estate in all of Canada.
Absolutely.
When it comes to the average house price, we're like the second lowest province in all of Canada. So it's like. Zoom out, everybody. Zoom out. Look at what's going on in BC. Look what's going on in Ontario. Like the house prices are absolutely crazy. We actually have affordable houses here, and that's the reason that the house prices are going up. Is because people are coming here, going, it's affordable, and there's higher demand now than ever before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Supply and demand.
Supply and demand, right? And then Jelaine coming from massage therapy, and then also just like you come from a very helping people. You've always, and you still do, just genuinely enjoy helping people, and that's like to your core of like who you are, through massage therapy. And then you had a bike accident which didn't allow you to do as many massages because you flipped on a motorcycle, crashed a motorcycle, and broke your wrist, which slowed down the amount of massages you could do, and that kind of added to a career change for you. But how have you found the transition coming into real estate?
Different. Like even as a massage therapist, I was an entrepreneur. And I had great people who really took me under their wings and kind of showed me the way. But with real estate, even though, again, I had great people taking me under their wings, there's so many different variations of everything that it's been a little bit daunting. Just trying to find my groove, similar with like, I want to find my true self and dress accordingly. I'm having that with like every aspect of real estate still.
Yeah, and I think the thing is there's always, I don't think, like, even when I think I'm comfortable, I'm like, okay, I think I've experienced it all. Something new always comes up. That's what I actually love about this career is it's so, you have to keep learning in order to stay on top of it. You can't just be like, I have it all figured out, because the market changes. You need to always be studying what's going on in the current marketplace, and then like, even like world politics kind of plays into it too, right?
100%.
For sure.
It's huge. So that's like, it's
Absolutely.
very intricate with like trying to stay on top of it. And I don't think anybody ever can be on top of it.
Yeah.
It's just, you can be close, and you need to stay close because it's always moving.
Yeah.
The market's always moving. And that's what actually I think I like about real estate, is it keeps me stimulated in that way where it's like, you can't get comfortable.
it's very different than your typical like nine to five job where you go through the training and there's like standard operating procedures and all that stuff. But in real estate, like
every client, every
client,
situation
yeah,
is
like
completely
it's
different.
always different.
Even though
Yeah.
it's similar, it's so
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
It's because even the way you have to communicate what's going on can be different too, right? Everybody's got different personality types, and we just did that disc profile actually a couple days ago. Just kind of, every once in a while, I like to do like a disc assessment to figure out like, okay, where's my personality at? What's going on here? And it's like, all that factors in, and I need to remember that every once in a while, that not everybody thinks the way that I think.
Right.
And not everybody communicates the way that I communicate. And that's why Jelane's actually been a really vital key, because you communicate in a much different way than I do. I'm very direct, kind of to the point, and sometimes I might not even pick up on if somebody's not getting it, and you're like, okay, no, I'm going to explain this further in depth. And go right into depth, like explaining stuff that way, where I'm very like next kind of, and that's why I think you and I make a really good team, and I'm sure you guys are similar, where
We
where
are,
there's
actually.
where there's different communication styles, right?
So
And
I
it's
was
like
gonna
that
ask.
plays in. That's huge for me, especially where I'm like what, D, I guess.
Yeah, you're a mix of D and I was a mix of S and C.
Right, D and I, and then
Okay,
S and
so
C.
you guys got it all covered.
Completely opposite.
So that's what I
completely
wanted to
opposite.
ask. Do you guys like bounce stuff off each other, and then you kind of help each other out and balance each other?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah,
In almost a way that was uncomfortable at first.
Okay.
I was like, gee, I'm not used to even thinking the way that you think, or to like operate in the way that you operate. But I think I needed a little bit of that to ground me sometimes. And I think my personality helped like expand and helped you do things that you're uncomfortable doing too, right? Just like this podcast right now. Right. So just kind of like I can walk into a room and just kind of talk to anybody, right?
Okay.
And just get rolling and make something out of nothing, and like completely happy to do that. And then like I know
I'll be at home with my.
yeah.
So it's like we're doing here. Like
Much more
this is
introverted.
completely unplanned. Like we walked in here this morning, no idea what we were going to talk about. You're just like, whatever. Yeah, we're just gonna have a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, no planning, nothing.
Yeah.
I think being a team in this industry, though, it's important to know each other's strengths
Yeah.
and weaknesses.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
But
100%.
to play off of those too, because I think that it makes each one of us a better agent as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
100%. And then also too, thinking about it from like the client's perspective of, there's normally a couple buying a house. That's like the majority of the scenarios, right? So then what better way to service them than have another couple that they can kind of like relate to too, right? And I think this is actually a great segue to talk about YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys started your YouTube journey just recently though, like what, within the last year?
a year ago,
We're coming up on a year.
we actually started it last November.
Right.
But then we became very consistent with it in January.
Yeah.
In January, we said we are going to do a video every week. And so that has been we've done it so far.
Haven't missed a week yet.
That's
Haven't missed it.
incredible.
Yeah.
And you're on the home stretch right now.
Yeah.
I want to get at least a year in before we take some sort of like maybe a week off.
Right, before
or
exhale.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
we got to get it. I want to be able to say we
We've done
did
it
a
for a
video
year.
every week. No exceptions, no excuses.
Was there ever more than one video a week?
No, we toyed with that idea, but so we do everything ourselves. Like we don't hire anything out. So, it's a lot of work. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
It's
is
thinking
a lot of work.
the idea. So generating the idea. So 52 ideas,
Yep.
and then scripting, and then filming, and then editing.
And then posting, even once you have an
Right.
edited product, even once you have the video, sometimes I go, all right, I've just spent 3 hours editing, 4 hours editing, and now I need to spend another hour to get it on YouTube.
Yeah.
It just and then figuring the thumbnail
Get
out.
the right thumbnail.
Do you do your thumbnail?
It depends on how busy my week is. Sometimes I'll hire it out.
Cat, Fiverr?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not in life in general, I am not a control freak by any means. I'm a pretty easygoing guy.
Yeah.
But when it comes to certain things, like I I can be fussy and I like it a certain way, and I'm having a hard time letting it go.
You know what I think it is? Is because it takes so much to do the videos.
Yeah.
You put so much into it, you don't want it to get astray by someone else's efforts. Like it's like I've already invested, because by the time you're even ready to send it off, you've already invested 2, 3, 4 hours into just having something ready to edit.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you said, the scripting, planning the idea, just coming up with the idea. What's a good, especially every single week. So then we're talking about 52 ideas a year.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you're doing one video a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
52 different, and then staying creative with that too. And I mean,
And that's the thing too, like, so Moncton is only so big. You can only do so many community tours, right? Like, so there's only so many things that you can talk about, but then you have to kind of recycle that information to put it into a new format so that it seems new, but in essence, you're still saying the same stuff, just in a different video.
Yeah. I was actually pulling up your YouTube channel just to have some some talking points here. The top video you guys have, I believe, with the most views is the one that's it's outside community. It's the community, 5 communities on the outside of Moncton. It's like 5 small communities. That one seems to be the most viewed right now, eh?
Yeah, and it has been for quite some time.
Yeah, so that one's been posted for quite a while. It was cold when we did it, so it was in the winter. So I'm gonna say it's probably coming up on a year.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's one of those videos that we got a reasonable amount of views at the beginning, then it kind of slowed down, and then it picked up again for reasons we don't know about.
I love when that happens.
Yeah.
I love when that happens. I love that.
It's great.
Because then you're like, yeah, it's like what's going on? It was like the Quiz Pam Sis video. There was it's like the one I said 5 reasons to avoid Quiz Pam Sis. So I played on the negative aspect, right? Because these are all things we got to think of. How can we keep it creative? And it's funny because when I posted it, I had a lot of people like message me like, Brandon, like, are you drunk? What's going on? 5 reasons to avoid Quiz Pam Sis? Like, this is a great town. And I was like, watch the video.
Yeah.
Watch the video. Watch the video. And it's me, like, I'm like, if you don't like deer walking around in your backyard, like, and relaxing, like, you'll hate Quiz Pam because we got all kinds of wildlife. And then I turn it into a positive, right?
It's funny.
And then
to say
like
that.
playing quirky on it.
Sorry, as we're talking, I'm looking out your window and there's a deer out in the front yard. There was just 2 minutes ago. Yeah, it's funny.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, we love it. Drives the dog mad.
Oh, yeah.
Drives the dog mad. But so like finding those ways there, and those are fun videos.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost camera number 2 over here.
Earthquake!
It's all right. So doing the fun videos and then market updates. Do you guys do market updates?
Yep, we do. Yeah, they're
But quarterly we do.
Quarterly, nice. I like that. I like that. Yeah, because sometimes month to month there's not major changes. Every once in a while I'll take pauses because I'm like, there's just no real update.
Yeah.
It's very similar to last month.
exactly
Right.
Yeah, we they're not our favorite video to do.
No,
but they're kind of and they're never
They're
a
wordy,
video.
they're researchy. Like there's
It's a
so
lot,
much research that needs to go in, and then figuring out how do I deliver this bland information in a fun way.
Yeah.
That's the trick I find, because it's like I find a lot of the updates, the market updates can be like, oh, there's been X amount of sales, X amount of new listings, and it's like, well, what does that actually mean for the
What's it
general
mean to
public?
me?
What does
Yeah.
that mean to somebody that's looking at the market? Because this doesn't mean anything to the average person looking to buy a house.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
I'd say market updates, I would qualify those as maybe like a necessary evil, that you almost have to do it because you're a real estate agent and this is what we do. So
Yeah.
you have to be knowledgeable about the market. You need to show that you're knowledgeable about the market and you've got your finger on the pulse. They're just not that fun to do.
We almost have to take ourselves back to school for a second, right? Because I'm like, okay, look, what's currently going on, and then you take a good look at it. I really do like doing them. And here's one reason I love doing YouTube is anytime I do these research for these videos, it gives me great talking points for the next few weeks when I'm out with clients.
Yeah.
Because it's all top of my mind, and I'm like delivering like stats on the spot, and they're going like, who's this nerd?
Yeah. How does the average price last month was $368,562.
Right.
And it's good too in a way that when you're just out in the field every day, you get your feel for what's going on. But that's what's going on for you. We might be like busier, or we might be less busy or whatever. But so you get your feel when you're doing your research for the market update. At least then you're getting the true numbers that you can kind of like absorb, and so it's good that way, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, and we just always make sure we end. You mentioned about like just rattling off numbers and really what's it all mean. That's usually how we end those videos. So what's all this mean for you?
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
if you're a buyer, this is what it means. If you're a
Exactly.
seller, you'll want to do this. This is what it means. So at least we try to end it so they know what's going on.
100%. 100%. And I just want to go back to this. There's not many agents doing that. Because it's not easy. It's not easy to take that information and figure out how can I actually convey this in a message that I'm going to put out publicly too. That's a big part of it is I'm going to put this message out publicly, and however I present this is going to be on the internet forever.
Yeah.
Right? So then that really played on me at first, and I always thought when I started YouTube, I was like, if I do one bad video, my career's done. If I do one bad video, everybody's going to realize like, oh, he's an idiot or this or like something's going on. And then I realized I'm like, it's never as bad as you seem. So for anybody out there that's like wondering if they should start YouTube, like it's not as many people care as you think care.
Yeah, you're not that important.
You're not that important, and that's nice, right? Like it's not a negative thing, but it's a nice thing to realize. Like, okay, not everybody's watching me. It's the spotlight effect. Like you walk into a mall, you think everybody's looking at you, but nobody actually cares. Everybody feels like everybody's looking at them. Actually, everybody's so concerned about themselves that like most people aren't even paying attention to other people because they think it's so funny how we're wired that way, right? Yeah. It's so funny. 100%. And then once you realize that like that you can just have creative freedom to kind of like, it's like our video that we did with the tree. Like it's like, you know what? Let's just kind of put our experiences out there too to show like what better way to show how New Brunswick is than show some experiences that we have. Like let's go out and show like I thought getting a Christmas tree is a pretty cool thing. A lot of people do that. And it's like, let's show the way that we do that here in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Going down to the Kingston Peninsula and jumping on a ferry. And then I get the drone out too.
Nice.
You guys have the drone, right?
We do, yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. That makes some good footage.
It does,
That turns a good video amazing.
Yeah, it does, yeah. You got to use it within reason, though.
Within reason,
Nobody wants to just look at drone shots for 10 minutes, but if you just use it, you throw them in there, a little sprinkle here and there.
Right.
Just to go back to your point about kind of the results of YouTube, what I really like about it is that you're reaching people who connect with you even through the screen. And then when they're reaching out to you, they want to work with you already. They already feel like they know you and they want to work with you. And we've met so many incredible people just through that. Like they've reached out to us and they become clients, they've become friends because they're now here in Moncton. And it's just like, it's awesome to be able to connect with the people through a screen. And when they meet us, they're like, oh my God, we already feel like we know you.
Yeah.
It is so cool. And I'm so glad you said that because that's one of my favorite parts too. Is it filters out anybody that doesn't want to work with you.
Absolutely.
And then it makes you a lighthouse for people that do want to work with you, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, you've probably only been on 4 or 5 videos with me so far. But we did a video that somebody's seen from Ontario. They called her directly. They were like, we love her energy.
Nice.
We love what she's got going on. They called her and she closed her first deal solo. Like, she's helped me with tens to almost probably hundreds at this point of deals. But like, they called her directly from a YouTube video.
That's
It's
awesome.
amazing.
She's done very little marketing.
Nice.
No
Actually,
marketing.
out and about, right, out and about, like, like, besides stuff with me. And then she got a phone call just from a YouTube video, just like that, right? And it's like, that's the power of it right there.
Yeah.
So that was somebody calling her directly. And then once we met them, they were like, oh, there's the YouTube stars. There's the, and he's like, oh, we get the full package. We get Brandon too. and it was just, and like, I've never met this guy, but he was an amazing fella. And that's really nice is I find the people that we do link up with, it's like, there's already a good energy. There's already cohesion because it makes it so much better than going in. Like, I haven't really been in competition for any listings for quite some time because it adds that extra layer of value too, right?
100%.
When you're able to show, look at the amount of views we get. Here's what we can do for your listing. Here's the attention that we're able to garnish. Even just showing how you can market and showing your skills of using a video camera and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be taken into recognition to say, like, look at how we're able to market above and beyond what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Look at what we can create.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
This is like, and real estate's about marketing, right? Like when it comes down to getting a good price for a home, the more eyes you can get on it, I think that's better. Like people want to get much more exposure for their houses.
I think it's also just you're already showing that you're like going above and beyond too. So
Yes.
even like beyond marketing, you just kind of anticipate like, oh, they're not just gonna like list my house and leave it until it expires and like
Right.
not touch like. We're already showing we're going above and beyond trying to communicate to anybody who's interested in typing in these subjects. We're trying to already be there for you. So
Yeah.
Sure.
Great point.
Yep.
And I yeah, like I'm so glad that you said that, Denise, too. That people come to you already wanting to work with you, because that's the huge kicker with YouTube.
And
it's
being-
so important. That's huge.
It is, absolutely. Yeah. And being a couple, and you kind of touched on it, I find that it's funny, but I find that men tend to gravitate to Marc. So if they're a couple, they'll call Marc. But if it's the woman that is kind of taking the lead on moving, she'll call me.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny that, but the fact is that they have both of us to reach out to.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah.
And that's good too, because let's say, for example, you're out showing a house or something. You know, it's good to have that kind of backup, have that support,
sure.
and that's nice for a client to know too. Look, I have two people working on this
Exactly.
that are both in communication all the time. So it's not like, you know, it could be a real estate team, but are they actually talking and communicating kind of deal?
Right.
Well,
Yep.
obviously we are. We're in the same house, right? Like
Exactly.
it's like we're with each other all the time, and that's huge. What have you found to be some pain points on YouTube? Like what have you found to be some things that some challenges, I guess, for people to like understand the complications of YouTube?
I don't know about complications, but I would say a pain point, and I would say it's now just a mild irritant, negative comments. Like
Yeah,
I was
okay,
gonna say the
okay.
same
Okay.
thing.
little like keyboard
Yeah.
warriors that like I don't know. I just don't have time for you. Like move on. Just keep
Right.
scrolling.
It's crazy that somebody will actually take time to leave a negative comment, right?
And that's the
Like,
thing,
like,
like we
Nobody has to watch the video.
Exactly.
Don't
Yeah.
Right.
if you're not enjoying what you're watching, pick a different video.
And we really do a lot of research, and we don't try to sugarcoat. We're not out there saying like, move to Moncton, it's the best city ever. Like we really try to be like have a balanced approach. We'll tell you the pros, we'll tell you the cons. Like we're not gonna sit here and say that it's a perfect city, because it's not. But then to still
No
get
city
the
is,
comments,
right?
exactly, no city is. But then to still get those comments, and it's like we just addressed this. Like, like, did you watch it all? Or-
Right.
just-
Right.
Anyways, yeah.
Those comments you used to fire me up, and now I'm at a point where I almost find it comical. Honestly, they don't bother me.
Well, I love that you guys have just been pushing forward with the consistency. So even though, you know, you've had like some negative comments, you haven't let it make you stutter step or anything. Like
No.
it's just
No.
still full forward regardless.
Yeah.
And for me, when I first started, like I got some major pushback from like a lot of people that were like, "Who do you think you are? What are you doing?"
People like
some
other agents,
some
or-
real estate agents, some people that are like close, some people that, and I was just like, because it was weird, because I didn't even know what I was doing. I'm like, I don't actually know. I just know this is important. I know that getting on YouTube is going to be important. I don't quite know like where I'm going to take this direction, especially being. I think I was I was an agent for like, geez, I don't know, like maybe not even a year. So like I didn't feel like I even knew all that much to be able to talk about stuff either, right? But then like you just eventually kind of push through, and I let a couple negative I'll be very candid here. I let a couple negative comments like slow me down before. And I was like, geez, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to do this. And I'd stop for like a couple weeks, and then I'm like, no, I'm not going to let that stop me. And then each time I came back, I just had thicker skin, and now I'm just like, it doesn't even matter anymore. But your skin gets a little bit thicker every time you see that comment.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then also too, you have to think like, you probably wouldn't even like take advice from these people, right? Like nobody ever throws rocks from above, I guess.
Exactly.
Like people, it's normally people that are unfortunately that are like in a bad spot mentally, that are just releasing some negative energy.
Yeah.
And Yeah.
Yep.
It's sad that people do that though. It's sad. Could you imagine like watching a
is.
video and being like, I'm gonna leave a really nasty comment?
Yeah, like I've watched many videos on YouTube that I didn't like, but I didn't feel a need to leave a comment.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
I
Just
know,
move
right?
I
on.
scrolled. I moved
Especially
on.
when it's not even like constructive. It's just like
Right.
mean for no reason.
just-
It's not like, oh, work on your lighting. I didn't really enjoy watching this. Unlike you can be like, oh,
Right.
that's mean, but like, yeah,
Okay,
sure.
sure,
Like,
yeah.
let me consider that. Instead, they're just like
Yeah.
mean.
Right. For me, I was gonna say like thumbnails. For me, it's like the analytics. Jelaine knows I'm a little bit of a maniac when it
He's
comes to the
addicted.
analytics.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll like post a video and then I'm like just making sure like what's the click-through rate? Is it doing as well as I thought? Sometimes like I throw out a video and I'm like, this is gonna be a banger. This one's gonna get probably a couple thousand views.
And then it tanks.
And then it tanks. And there's some videos where I go, I could have done this better, and I put it out, and it does really well. And then I'm like, I don't even get to decide.
Nope.
No.
It's the market. So again, just like we're talking about home prices,
Yeah.
the buyers and sellers dictate the market for the home prices. The viewers at home dictate kind of the YouTube videos. So it's not even us. I could say like I just did the best video, but that's subjective to me. Everybody else might think it's no good. So that's what's so interesting about it is the market decides. So then you kind of steer towards what's getting watched, what people are interacting with. And actually, talking about interacting, what do you guys do for on your YouTube videos to get engagement? Because you were saying earlier that you're coming up with a new plan to encourage engagement. You guys have started something?
Yeah, we. So I mean, from time to time, we might in the past we possibly would have asked a question here and there and try to get engagement, but we didn't do it regularly, and we didn't have a regular call to action. And it was probably maybe 2 months ago on one of our Tuesday night calls with Mike. Maybe we'll talk about that later. I don't know, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
part
yeah.
of the Wolfpack.
Yep.
On one of the calls, he was going through some YouTube stuff, and one of the two things that really stuck out in that particular call, one was to make sure you ask a specific question to get engagement, and the other thing is you need to tell people what to do next, but also you need to make sure they know that they're not the
only
first
ones.
ones to do it.
Yes,
So people can be, they might
yes.
think like, oh wow, like Brandon, I love his videos, but that guy's way too busy. Like I'm not even gonna send him a message.
Right.
But we're not too busy.
People have, people do
Yeah.
think that too, right? That's a
Yeah,
very
they
good
do.
point.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that?
So what we say now, every video, we do try to ask a question just to, try to engage conversation, and we always make sure that people understand that every week people just like them
out to
send us a
us.
message to start their real estate journey, and that is not a lie. Like we do get messages every week
do.
Yep.
that people want to start. So we say that just to make sure that people know, like, no, listen, send us a message. We're not too busy. We're not,
Are people reaching out mostly through like calling you guys? Is it email? What do you guys put out there for clients? And for anybody watching up to this point right now, make sure to check out Marc and Denise's YouTube channel because it's amazing. So like, if you're watching this, like check it out right after you're done watching this podcast.
You're setting pretty high expectations there. Amazing? I don't know. It's all
Well,
right.
it's good. It's good, right? And I mean, anybody, yeah. No, I love it.
We try to put out good information.
Right.
So
Me
how do
too.
people? Yeah, exactly. So how do people reach out to us? It's a pretty good mix, I'd say. It's honestly, I'd say it's phone calls and it's emails.
Some
and then we have
Instagram.
Instagram
Yes,
too, yeah.
yep,
And then
yep.
we have a link where they can just book a call, and sometimes
Nice,
we'll jump on a
okay.
Zoom call and kind of chat that way to
Yeah.
just to get the conversation going.
That's something that I should start doing is putting Zoom calls in. Actually, that's something Adam Fife does very, very well. He was a fellow that we met at a couple conferences now, and he's very good with that. So he puts a link to book a call in. That's the very first thing he puts in the description.
Yeah.
Book a
We get a
30-minute
lot
call.
like that.
Yeah. What we like about that one is you first of all you can connect a lot better with people when you're actually having a conversation versus email or whatever.
100%. And you can actually get a lot more information quick too,
Yeah,
right?
you can
Where
cut through a lot of the fluff.
it might take a
lot more.
week to figure out over email what someone's looking for,
Yeah.
and if they're qualified and all this, you can do it in 30 minutes.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
On a call.
And you get a better feel for what they're after, what their goals are. all that, all that stuff. So, yeah,
Exactly.
we tend to like Zoom calls.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice,
work.
nice. And I think I asked you this before, but the majority of people that you're finding coming from Ontario and BC, I think you said.
Yep, Ontario and BC.
Yeah, yeah.
Much, yeah.
I had a guy call me one time. It was a seller. He called me and said, "Brandon, I have a 4-unit that I want to sell," and he said, "And I want you to do it." And I immediately start going into like trying to comfort him, saying like, "Oh yeah, no worries. Like where's it at? I've done multi units many times. This and like kind of explaining myself a little bit." And he goes, "Listen, you don't need to sell me on it. I trust you. I've been watching your YouTube channel. I know what you're all about."
Nice.
He says, "Tell me where I need to send the documents to." He's like, "I don't have much time. I just had a kid. I got 2 young ones. Like the hands are full. Let me know where I send the documents to, and I'll tell you where to get the keys."
Wow.
It was a 3-minute conversation.
Wow.
A
See, but he
3-minute conversation. He felt like he knew me.
Exactly.
it goes back
through
to-
your YouTube.
Yeah. So then I was like, that was just so powerful. I was just like, wow, is that ever wild?
Nice.
And a seller too, which was really nice.
Right.
He was in BC, which is the funny part too. So he wasn't even local here.
Uh-huh.
He was in BC, just recently bought an investment, and luckily anyway. I mean, yeah, he was, and it's like those are the ones that I love working with too, right? Because then it's like they put their trust in you as well, so it's already a great relationship.
Absolutely.
And that makes it easier for us to do our job too, right? When we're working with people that already kind of like want to work with us, right? And those are the relationships that I love. I love kind of like heavily delivering on.
We recently had a very similar
Situation.
scenario actually, where we I got a message one day, hey, I got a property considering selling. So we go through the thing, and we go see the property, and when we got there, it's pretty much like same idea, where we you don't really need to sell yourselves. We've already decided we want you to list it,
Right.
and it was it was just like that,
And
very easy.
And that's the power of it. And that's the power of YouTube. And you guys have been doing it a year. Like imagine what it's going to be in 5 years, right? That's the fun part of it too. And then this stuff compounds. Here's the beautiful part. All the videos you're doing, they're all out there. This is evergreen content.
Exactly.
So that whole concept of evergreen content is really nice too, where you can do a video and it can even explode, let's say 2 years down the road or something. So
I think you gave us the idea actually. So with property tours now, we actually do some evergreen content at the beginning for the most part.
Yeah.
Some of them
That
are
was
at
you.
the end.
Yeah.
But we'll do like a small community tour just so, because like houses sell, of course. And so when somebody comes across a property tour on our YouTube channel, it may no longer be available, but with the little bit of a property tour in there,
Or a community tour.
or sorry, a community tour, then it's still relevant.
Right. And then also too, the community is super important when it comes to a property, right?
big
So
part of it.
because it's not just the house, and that's another thing that I've been like really doubling down on this year is the property tour videos. I'm like, now that I have an audience on YouTube, I want to really like capitalize on this and make sure that I'm doing a stellar YouTube video. And that's something that I want to like, that I kind of consider myself having a niche in, is like going above and beyond for the property tour videos. And then doing the community tours in front of that is huge because people need to know where they're living. What is it like? What's the vibe? Is it close? Is there stores nearby? How far from the highway? Is it older demographic, younger demographic? Is there walking trails? Is there what's around, right? And certain communities, especially like this one that we're in right now here in Sherwood Park, like there's so much to offer. Dog parks, there's the Q-plex with running trails, there's a beach down the road, like certain houses have beach rights. Like there's so much complexities above and beyond just the house, right?
Yeah, it's such a big part of it.
It's such a big part of it. Such a big part of it. Where a lot of people will just kind of say, here's 123 Banana Street. And then and it's like, show, like, where is it, right?
Right.
So all that stuff is super fun. Do you guys, so for your home tours, do you guys throw a lot of those on YouTube too? Are you guys doing a lot of like property tours on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of have a rotation. We do property tours, community tours, and then a talking head.
And then talking head.
So we kind of keep that schedule.
That's what I'm thinking of kind of implementing more of, is like building a schedule of how the content's going to look. I've really taken like an overly artistic view on it, kind of like whatever I feel like posting, I'm going to post, which works really well sometimes. Other times it's like having a schedule works out really well too, right?
Yeah. it steers you in a direction. It makes
Yeah.
I think it helps in the consistency.
And then people need to understand the amount of time it takes to. How much time would you say, on average, you think it takes to get a video out?
Oh my gosh, I'd be embarrassed.
I don't think people
embarrassed to say.
I know. I'll tell you how long. When I was editing, it takes it was somewhere around 8 hours.
Yeah.
For a video, because the editing was probably about 3 to 4 hours. Like when I edited that last video, the one in Kingston. Now, full disclosure, I now have an editor who helps me out tremendously. But I was doing my own for quite some time, and every once in a while I like to dive back in because it is fun to do.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking about this earlier too, like releasing that. How long did it take me to edit that one, do you think?
4 or 5 hours.
4 or 5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, that's if I could do it in 4 or 5 hours, I'd be pretty happy with that. I'm sure every video I probably spent, I'm going to say, at least 8 hours.
Yeah.
And what I find is the time consuming stuff is B-roll. So if you don't know what B-roll is, I guess it's the the little clips. If you're doing a talking head, it might be a clip of a neighborhood or of a store or whatever.
Right.
That and all the the title animation. So if we're talking numbers, for example, putting the numbers up on the screen for people to see and all that stuff, that is time consuming. I probably spend, I would say, average at least 8 hours on editing any video.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got a couple hours in
Very
planning.
humbling work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple hours in planning, a couple hours in actually shooting, depending on the video. Sometimes the talking head ones we're getting pretty good at. We can usually fire one of those out in maybe half an hour or 40 minutes on average, I'd say.
Nice.
But community tours, they can take a long time because you're kind of going all over. Like we do it obviously in the community, and we like to move around and show different areas. So
Which I think works really well. Really
Yeah.
well. People seem to like that because those ones seem to do really, really well too.
Yeah.
And then you guys are changing the locations and both kind of coming up with talking points for that spot you're at too, and then highlighting it really, really well.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing it range. Well, I mean, pretty well. Like any time. Like I've seen some days that look frigid. And you guys are out in the community and
we cheated a few weeks ago. We did a property tour of a downtown condo, and the plan was to do a little tour of downtown.
It was just miserable that day, though.
It was so windy and pouring rain that we had luckily already done a downtown tour. So we put the disclaimer out there that, hey, listen, we were supposed to do this, but it's so miserable out today that we're just going to put some clips together from a tour we did previously. And,
Fair.
we still made it look okay, but that was the one time we cheated. So but otherwise, we've been out in where it's really cold or just not a nice day. And for whatever reason, it seems that every time we're shooting outside, it's either windy or rainy or there's construction around and noise. It just it's just never ideal.
I know it's silly, but I hate putting my hair up. And so we're out there and Mark's like, oh my God, it's windy again. And my hair's going over here. It's going across my face. And he's like, we can't shoot like this. I'm like, oh, we'll make it work.
we can't shoot and I think that stuff is what really does work though, right? When it's all not picture perfect. I think that's what people really resonate with.
Yeah, and I was actually going to make a point about that earlier for anybody that might be thinking about YouTube, and we were talking about your gear when we first started and how it can be a barrier for some people not to start. I think that it kind of goes along with what you were saying about certain videos that you think would do really well, but then they tank, or vice versa, that the videos do not need to be fancy. Honestly, sometimes just raw, basic, nothing fancy, those videos can often work the best.
Yeah.
Because people, they really see, they get a feeling of true, what's the word I'm trying, it's genuine.
It's genuine, right? It's not polished, it's not over edited, it's just this is who this person is, and I think that's what people really resonate with, right? People get to see who you really are without all the perfect edits.
Yeah.
And the first video I did is actually the best video that I have on my channel with the most views, I suppose. I don't think it's my best, I think it's probably one of my worst.
Yeah.
But it's got the most views, and it was shot on an iPhone with no mic at all, just the iPhone microphone, and I was in my apartment at the time, and sitting on a stool in front of a of a painting, and I'm just there talking about 5 reasons St. John, New Brunswick's an amazing spot to live.
I've watched
And-
that video.
Yeah.
and that one was just, that was my first YouTube video ever, and I edited it on my phone actually, which my phone crashed like 15 times while I was doing it. It was the most frustrating process, and I eventually got it out there, and it's like my most watched video. And I'm like, I had no equipment then. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, like, just do it. Like, that should be everybody's permission. Just to do something is
I think
is better
that's
than
the thing.
nothing.
You need to have a starting point. Like, no matter what that looks like, you just get started, and then you become consistent with it.
Right. Like, this stuff isn't needed. This is just nice. Having these microphones isn't completely necessary, but it's nice for especially doing it. And as you do it, it evolves. You start to figure out other things. Like, this podcast just came into play like within the last year. I'm like, you know what? I want to just have a reason to talk to people and then put it on camera.
Yeah.
And it's allowed me to connect on deeper levels with a lot of people that I probably wouldn't have before. Just by getting people in, and like, you know, just like you said, like, I don't have a list of questions, as people can tell. We're just having a conversation here. We're just talking. We have some similar interests. We're in the same career path. But I can kind of do this with anybody. And I really like the podcast. Would you guys ever consider doing a podcast?
I think I'm better on this side of the podcast where I'm not running it. I'm not good on the fly. I'm more of a.
Oh, you're doing great right now.
I like when things are planned out. And yeah.
You can even plan it out too, right? Like,
I suppose
Yeah, you
I
could.
I could have had a big list of questions here, but I find that makes people uncomfortable. Sometimes I'll have lists of questions that I'm just curious about too. Now, not to say that I put no thought into it. Like, before you guys come, like, I'm normally thinking about this stuff for like 2-3 days, kind of like prepping it, thinking like, okay, what are we going to talk about? Where are we going to steer it? And speaking of that, so we've kind of touched on YouTube. Anything else that we should finish off on the YouTube section? Any other kind of closing messages? You had a really good point that people come directly to you, that already want to work with you and already feel comfortable. They have the like, know, and trust factor.
Absolutely.
Right? And then that's what's huge. Finding ways to deliver value to people so that helps build is another huge part. Like, the fact that, like you said, the market updates are a necessary evil because they take so much work. They take so much legwork of prepping in advance. But when you do that for people, they're very appreciative, and they're like, look at all the work that Marc and Denise did here to put this together so that we can have a little bit better of an understanding of where the market currently is.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And then just all the work that goes into it too. That's what I think people really need to understand. I think that's why a lot of people don't do it, actually, is because
I
of
think
the
so,
amount
too.
of effort that it takes to even set this gear up here. Like, this was like an hour setup just to kind of get this
Right.
stuff ready to roll, right?
It's worth it though. That's what people need to
100%,
understand. Like,
yes.
it's worth it because once you get into it, first of all, you figure out your routine. You figure out how you do things. Luckily we're set up. So for the longest time, every time we want to do just a talking head video, I'd have to bring all the gear out, get set up, put the lights
Yeah.
up, camera, mic, all that stuff. We have a couple of kids that are now gone off to university, so we've taken over one of the rooms.
Nice,
and we
freed
have,
up a studio.
We have a
Yeah.
permanent studio where we can just walk in,
It's already set up.
basically turn the lights on, hit record, and we're ready to go.
Yes. So for anybody watching, the least amount of friction that you can have, the better. So Jelane's helped me out with this a lot. She has a charging station downstairs. So after this is all done, everything goes back to its charging station, gets plugged in, gets ready to roll. And then, like, having the studio downstairs too, having the lights all kind of like in one spot. Because let's say that you're not in the mood to film, and now you need to set everything up. Oh, well, it's not happening.
Exactly.
It's not happening.
Yeah,
But at
way
least
too
if
much
everything's already set up, you go, I may as well do it.
Yeah.
I may as well. Makes it much easier.
Definitely.
And I think that's a huge tip just in life in general. Like, remove friction.
Yeah.
Remove things that make it difficult to do what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess that's not just doesn't just apply to YouTube. That applies to life.
That's a great life. That's a
Still
great
working
life
on that
thing.
one, but-
Me too. Me too. It's forever a work in progress.
And I think on the other side of that too, like, if you are in the real estate industry as a realtor, I think if you wanted to get into YouTube, it's about being consistent. So whatever that looks like for you, though, it doesn't have to be weekly. We chose weekly, but it could be like, every 2 weeks or once a month. But just have that consistency going forward so that you can see the benefits of it.
I was blown away how much the consistency like unlocked everything. So I started Denise. It was Denise's idea before she got into real estate. She's the one that suggested you should do videos. So I was like, oh man, like I don't want to do videos. I was so scared. But
We should dig up your very first one.
Oh, I can't. It's so cringy, as the kids would say, and I was so uncomfortable,
But you
so
did
tense.
it.
But
You
I did
did
it.
it.
So I wasn't consistent at all.
Did you find you went over animated on the first video? Did you go like over like, hey everybody,
No,
hey
no,
Mark here?
I didn't understand that yet. So there is a certain amount of loss of energy through the camera. Like I feel like if you want to show a lot of energy, you kind of got to go like above what you normally would, because I find some of it gets lost.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. So I was just my normal, pretty easygoing self. So I come out like really monotone and super boring and super awkward. It's an awful video. It's still there though.
It's not easy is the thing.
No.
Talking to a camera that does not react, that has no feedback is awkward.
It is, yeah.
Especially when you're doing it for any time longer than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like as soon as you start going into 2 minutes of you rambling, especially if you're in a room by yourself and you start looking around going, if someone was looking at me right now,
Yeah.
I think I'm crazy. I've just been here rambling by myself. That's what really got me. I'm like, this isn't natural.
That's right.
It's not a natural way to communicate.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. Might be easier if you had if you put somebody behind the camera or
I've heard that.
a
Put
blow
like
up
a
doll or something that you can talk to rather than a camera. I don't know.
yeah. No, I've I've heard I've heard like putting a picture of your friend.
Yeah, I could see
Like
that.
a picture of your friend,
Yeah.
so you feel like you're talking to your friend kind of
Yeah.
deal, because it's like, and it's taken me some time to get comfortable on camera.
sure.
And I mean, even just like you see when we hit record, like there's still a little bit of like, but you like that goes away in these conversations, which
Yeah.
I really like.
Yeah.
You guys must find, though, when you do videos together, it is a little bit easier, better, flows a little bit nicer.
Definitely, yeah. I much prefer to have somebody doing it with me than doing it by myself.
Yeah.
For sure. Because those talking heads are, it's just like, it would take 45 minutes of me like rambling to put together an 8-minute
Right.
market update. And like a lot of it is just going back and looking and being like, okay, that's the stat that I need to deliver, and here's how I'm going to deliver it. And then I'd start, and then I'm like, oh, I may not have picked up at the right spot, need to go back and like say it in a better way, or I don't really like the way I ended it because that's awkward, so now I'm going to say it again, and then you end up saying the same thing like 15
Yep.
times. And like eventually I just go, I can't stand hearing myself talk. I am sick of listening to myself say the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes I just like go on like posting hiatuses because I'm like, I'm sick of hearing myself. I'm sick of listening to
Yeah,
it. But then it's so it reminds me of like Grant Cardone. You know who Grant Cardone is?
Yeah.
So somebody called him when he went hard into marketing, when he went hard into posting. One of his close buddies called him and said, "Man, I gotta unfollow you, dude. Like you're posting all the time. Like it's driving me crazy." And he went, "All right." He's like, "Unfollow me. You're not my target audience anyway." He's like, "You're not buying shit. Unfollow me. I'm not interested in you." He's like, "I'm targeting people that are buying stuff from me." It's like, right, I guess, yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like if somebody gets upset, like, unfollow me. I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the people that want to listen.
Exactly. That's
So it's like I need to remind myself that sometimes too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so sorry. I think I interrupted something you were saying so we were talking about how difficult it is the first time on camera.
Yeah.
And kind of how clunky that is and how we evolve from there, right? Like
terrible,
learning
yeah.
how to talk to the camera.
And I think where I was going with that was more about consistency and
Yes.
how it unlocked things. Yeah. So when I first started the channel just on my own before Denise came aboard a couple years ago, I would just post very randomly, very sporadically. When an idea hit me, it would then take me like a couple of weeks before I actually put the video together, and it was just brutal. So I got maybe 300 subscribers, I'd say at that point, and I'd get some videos have like 27 views, some videos have like 46 views, just nothing, right?
Right.
And as we started getting consistent, like I'm not super big on analytics, but if I pulled up the graph of like our last year, it just like it's just like that. Like it just once we like
Yeah.
you could pinpoint. Oh, this is where you started to be consistent.
Yep.
It's
Same
just
with me this year.
crazy.
Very, very similar. It sounds very similar with me. Like I've had a channel now for like 2 or 3 years, maybe even 4 years, and just very inconsistent. Kind of just posting sporadically, right? And it was getting traction because I was the only one doing it at the time, so it was still working. That was another part. Is like I was like, there's not even anybody doing this, so it's like it was kind of boring being the only one out there. I was like, what's the point of even going? Like, I have 300 subscribers. That's the most of any real estate agent in St. John. So then now I'm like, okay, people are starting to catch on. It's making it fun too, because I do have like a little bit of a competitive kind of like edge in me that like it's like, okay, now there's other people posting. Like let's keep it going. Like, and then it's like you kind of feed off of each other, right? That way. But
I love the fact that we found this niche, though. I feel like it's a niche. It's,
yeah, 100%. It is.
It's such a great avenue, I guess.
Yeah.
I really like it.
And that's cool too, because we're almost documenting our careers in a way.
Yeah.
Without knowing it,
True.
we're kind of like documenting where we are at the time, so people get to see the growth. That's really cool too. People get to see the growth. Like I've even had people comment going like, your channel's getting like the videos are getting way better. Like people that have been watching from the beginning going like they notice how I'm getting more comfortable on camera, and it's like they kind of see that growth. So then it's like you bring people along the journey with you too, right? And the cool part is like, your kids can watch this and kind of see like this is
And
this
our
is
kids
mom and
do
dad,
watch it, actually.
right?
Our
Look,
kids they're like big cheerleaders. Like they,
which is
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
pretty
And then they'll be
cool.
able to look back at this forever and show their grandkids someday too. Like how I have chills saying that. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being able to
cool.
watch like a video of your grandfather on YouTube right now?
that's right.
That'd be
pretty
cool. I would love to do something like that.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why it's just like, it's kind of cool to throw these out there. Now, how much of joining the wolf pack? Let's kind of bring it to the wolf pack. How much of joining the wolf pack and having Mike Sherrard's Social Agent Academy helped you guys kind of perfect your YouTube experience? Were you on YouTube before?
I was.
Okay, so that was the 300 subscriber time.
Very inconsistent.
Very inconsistent, and then because you guys just came over within the last year, right?
Yeah. So
January. Yep.
So, but we had been talking about it since October, the October before. So, I'm just going to say game changer for me. So we knew that we would be in November. We knew that we would be joining the wolf pack in January.
Okay.
And we had started, like I said, we had started doing videos together in November, but it became very consistent in January when we joined.
Yeah.
And I think that it was just because of all of the support and tools, resources, training, like it is all at your fingertips. It was, for me, all I can think is game changer.
Oh yeah. Oh, it like the wolf pack. It's like so the brokerage we were at previously. I won't knock them. Good people, good all that stuff, but EXP and the wolf pack, like they're just in, they're the technology, the training is unreal. It's more training than you'll ever use. And what I love about it though is like you can sign up for courses and all that stuff, but like in the wolf pack, we get it all for free, and B, it's actually like actionable stuff. Like you could take a course and you could make a list. In fact, most of the courses will just get a list, and if you do this list, you will be successful.
Yeah.
And like just get to work and do it.
Yeah.
It's
Part of the Social Agent Academy, I just realized this, but it says at the very bottom as like if somebody's buying the course outside of the wolf pack, it says guaranteed money back. If you if you do everything in here and get no results, guaranteed money back.
That's a no-brainer guarantee for them, though.
I know, because it's gonna work.
Exactly.
It's because it's proven so many times.
Yeah.
It's proven so many times. And I love what both you guys are saying, where it's like being part of the wolf pack normalizes doing the content. Right?
Yeah.
Where at my
for
past
sure.
brokerage, everybody's kind of looking at me going, that's where a lot of it kind of
Absolutely.
came from. Like, who do you think you are? What do you think
Yeah.
you're doing? What are you trying to do here? And then now it's like, if I'm not posting, someone's like, hey man, you good? you good? Like, what's going on? I haven't seen a video in a while.
Yeah,
And it's like, right. Like, it's like everybody's cheering each other on to do more content. It really normalizes it. And now everybody's talking about it all the time, keeps it top of mind. And it's like, I mean, unfortunately, real estate's almost come down to being like a social media, like self-promoter now is a huge benefit. And I think it's going to keep evolving into that more and more. And the people that aren't on social media are going to slowly fall behind. Like, that's where you have to take the business to where everybody's at, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's funny. So you were touching on, like people checking in with you and all that.
Yeah.
For me, the training is great. What I really love about it though is the community. And what I mean by that is at a brick and mortar brokerage, looks great on the facade. And again, I'm kind of choosing my words carefully because I don't want to, like, not picking on brick and mortar brokerages, but looks great on the facade. But then when you get inside, there's clicks, there's this, there's that. With EXP and the Wolf Pack,
it's a little catty sometimes,
catty,
right?
it's
It's
catty,
catty.
yes.
Great word
It's
to-
very
yeah.
catty, where people kind of like, oh, good job on that last closing. Where'd you find them? Where'd you get that client? Like, that was something I got asked before. Like, how'd you meet them? What? Now I'm like justifying how I got a deal. Like, what?
Right.
What? Not just congratulations?
And with so with EXP, like it's just such a sense of community, and everybody wants everyone to do well, and like they will share
Anything.
secret. Like there's anything. Like if you had huge success in something, and I'd be like, Brandon, how in the hell did you do that? I know for sure you would tell me without a
Right.
doubt. You would lay it all out for me exactly how you did it.
Right. I'd be happy. Right. Because
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, absolutely. That's something I think a lot of people don't realize. Like, a lot of times, if you ask people how they're doing well, a lot of people will tell you, but you have to ask. You have to make the point to, like, actually ask. And a lot of people in the Wolfpack and EXP share it because that's the culture. I was actually.
Yes.
I was like, okay, I understand the culture is like very sharing, very organic. Everybody wants each other to grow. I understood that was what they said, but then I came in and I was like, that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh,
but
it's
is
actually
it
true.
But is it fit? I was still kind of looking like I'm waiting for the rug to be pulled here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, everybody's just genuinely wanting to help each other.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what this is.
And it's crazy how, like, obviously our New Brunswick group is amazing, but it, like, transcends where I jumped on, like, the first women's wolf pack call and had a gal from Texas who you ended up meeting at one of the conferences, but she was, like, my #1 supporter on Instagram, and I was like, I've never met you, I may never meet you, and she's, like, commenting on my story, she's like, congratulations, keep it up. I'm
So
just
cool.
Yeah, like, and then I went to that conference there in Toronto, and this lady comes up to me and she's like, Brandon, Vincent, and I'm like, hey, and she's like, it's me, Dee Dee. She's like, I'm like your biggest fan. She's like, I'm commenting. She's like, I'm the weird person commenting on your videos all the time. And I went, what? And I had to go back, and I was like, oh my God, that's her.
Wow.
And like, just such a sweetheart. She's Dee Dee. Yeah, she's from Muskoka. She's such a sweetheart and like just an amazing person.
Wow.
And then I got to meet her at the conferences. I'm excited for you guys to go to a conference.
Yeah.
You guys should
Yeah,
really,
we have
really
not
come out. You guys
experienced
will
that yet,
love
but,
it.
we
Like,
certainly
We're
plan
hoping
on
to
it.
go to the one in April. So
Yeah.
yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
And I think if we're talking Wolfpack, though, we should talk about the New Brunswick group too, because
Oh,
this
yes.
is something else that really impressed us when we first started. You guys were just starting the Thursday calls, so what is it? I mean, it's a call where there's no manager involved. It's just a bunch of New Brunswick agents who decided, hey, we should get together weekly and share
about-
ideas, talk about
Yep.
what's going on. We have presentations. Sometimes we'll bring people on.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
you and Evan are kind of the ones that headed that.
Trying to, man, but we're
Oh,
open to
man.
suggestions.
But I just think that's such a, to me, that explains the Wolfpack and EXP culture right there. Is
Right.
just a bunch of agents taking it upon themselves to get together weekly
And lift each
do
other
this.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just the support and knowing that you're not alone. That
Yeah.
because real estate can be a very lonely business.
100%. 100%.
So just to know that you have a group of people who are local and also nationwide, international wide, that you can go to and get your questions answered and just feel that support that sometimes you do need.
it's so nice to have a whole bunch of like-minded individuals too, right?
Oh, yeah.
And like a lot of killers, like very high level agents too, that we get to learn from as well.
Yeah.
Where even on the Thursday calls, even like, so actually, okay, I know where I'm at. So I wanted to mention this because you were saying how coming over and then getting the training that we have with like Mike's training, the Social Agent Academy, but also like even our Tuesday calls. Once I came from my past brokerage and what we had as Tuesday meetings, which was just pretty well like who's got what listing coming up, which I'm like, what's the value in this? Because like we're gonna see it on Matrix anyway.
Right.
And then it's like and then I moved over into EXP where it's like here's some with the Wolfpack specifically, because that's something that people need to realize is the training at EXP is different than what we get here at the Wolfpack.
Very different.
Right?
Yes.
So that's huge. Who you pick as your sponsor at EXP is going to dictate what kind of training that you do get. There's general training through EXP, but then if you join into anybody within the Wolfpack, then you actually get a whole other level of training provided by our organization. And the organizers like Mike Sherrard and Connor Steinbrook, who've put together amazing training. Have you guys ever done Connor's Monday motivation calls?
I haven't had a chance to do Connor's
Very good.
yet because
Very good.
that's how much there is going on in the
I know.
Wolfpack. It's hard to do everything.
It is hard to do everything.
And
It is.
I think- and I find too, like calling it training is a little not misleading, but like it's undervaluing what you get. Like,
love that.
There's training at a brokerage. You can go probably to any brokerage and get some sort of training. But
love that,
This
yeah.
is like it's more like a blueprint of
Yes.
how to get to where you want to be.
100%.
And that's what I really like too, because like I was still relatively new. I'd been in real estate for just slightly over a year by the time we had started talking about switching. And I still was trying to figure out what my day-to-day was supposed to look like. What was I supposed to do to be generating leads? What did my day-to-day look like?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know. So coming over to EXP and having that training, like if I didn't have a really busy day, then I would be like looking at like, okay, what should I be doing on social media? And it like walks you through everything that you should be doing.
Yeah.
So
There's literally training on there for just about like everything.
Oh, yeah.
Every different social media platform has levels of training, and it's done by practitioners too, right? So like the YouTube is taught by Mike Sherrard, who's one of the top YouTube real estate agents like in the world,
Yeah.
right? And then it's like you have guys like on TikTok. There's that Noah fella who is a young kid who's completely figured out TikTok, making like 6 figures a month teaching how he does it on TikTok. And it's like, that's huge. So it's all done by practitioners too. And then even like the Agent Accelerator, where it's like, if you have no business going on right now, like jump into the Agent Accelerator. It's going to tell you how to do like cold calls, open houses, like the whole 9 yards. It's all on there.
Yeah.
It's all on there, taught by practitioners.
And I haven't caught up on everything because there's so much, but it's not only teaching you how to do it, it's teaching you how to add your touch into it.
Add your
too.
touch
So
into it.
that not like, even if you guys compare YouTube channels, like nothing is really too similar, even though you're following kind of the same blueprint. They're showing you like, this is where you're going to customize stuff. So you're still appealing to the mass, but you have your personal touches on everything.
100%. And they even talk about the mindset of it, right? Like the mindset you should have doing a video. That's huge. And that's one thing that I've actually really enjoyed about coming over to EXP and the Wolfpack is there's a lot on mindset, because they realize that mindset, it's like we can give you all the skills in the world. We can tell you how to do it. But if you don't have the right mindset going into it, like I can tell you the exact way to door knock, but if you think it's not going to work, then it's useless.
Right.
If you're going into it with if you're doing YouTube going, hey everybody, my name's Brandon Vincent. I know this isn't going to work out. I hope someone's watching, but here's a market update. Like, that's not going to work, right? It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
As opposed to being energetic and like actually excited going, I know people are going to watch this. Even if it's one person, I'm going to deliver this for this one person that's going to watch this. And it's like having that mindset just changes the whole way, right? And then also they're realistic too, saying like, it takes consistency.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then it's like, if you go to Mike, one thing I love about it is like, if you go to him and say, hey, you know, I'm not that busy. First thing he's going to say is, show me your calendar.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what do you mean? Show me what you're doing. What do you have in your calendar for action items that you're doing to get busy? Oh, well, no, normally I'll wake up, go get a coffee and then take the dog for a walk. It's like, well, there you go. You have no strategy. You're not actually doing anything, right? So they cut the BS. So they cut the bullshit and they say, what are you doing?
Yep.
Show me what you're doing. And it's like, oh, I'm not actually doing anything. Well, no wonder. And it's like, but some people don't want to hear that, right? Some people don't want to, oh, my calendar, what do you mean? I work really hard. Show me. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What's on your calendar? Because if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. And it just cuts through that. It's like, that's the way that I need to be talked to get things done sometimes.
Yeah.
Cut through the BS, tell me exactly what I need to do. Right, a calendar. Okay, let's start making a calendar. What are the good things to do on there? And like, that's always changing too, right? Changing the activities that you're doing every once in a while, tweaking. So the last 3 months, here's what worked, here's what didn't. Let's tweak and adjust.
Yeah.
And
The calendar's
that's something
huge.
Yeah, that's something that they're big on too, though, is review your last quarter. What worked? Keep doing that. What didn't work? Cut that out.
High level business planning. High
Yes.
level, very high level.
Yeah.
Like almost to a point that's like uncomfortable going, oh my goodness. Like it's like, it like takes a chunk out of you to do it, but it's what needs to be done. Like
And there's times where
propellers and anchors, we were just talking about the
Yeah,
propellers
I
and
like
anchors.
that.
I
I like that.
love that, right? Write down a list of like, so we just did this the other day. Write down a list of your anchors, things that are slowing you down.
Yeah.
Be it people, be it situations, be it
Habits.
food, habits, like anything, right? And then what are the things that are pushing you forward? And now let's try to eliminate some of the anchors and put more propellers into the calendar and
Yeah,
stuff. And
exactly.
it's like that's what people need to be talking about. And they don't talk about this when you're getting your real estate license.
No, exactly.
There's no talk about that. You don't even think about that coming into the business. You're just thinking, where am I going to get my first deal? You're just kind of like coming in survival mode. And I think that's where a lot of agents fall off is they don't even make it through the survival mode, because then there's like survival and then there's, okay, something's working. What is it?
Yep.
Something's working. I don't know what's I know I'm working.
Yeah.
But what's actually working?
Right.
Right?
sure.
And then
Yeah.
figuring that out.
Figure it out
And then now the systems and processes. Actually, we just Mike just talked about bringing in he just recruited a huge agent in their team, Joshua Smith, who was in the Atlas conference, and he is huge on systems and processes. Has it down to a science where like every buyer is getting the same kind of process. Every seller goes through a process, and he can teach this to his team, and he can bring somebody new in and say, here's exactly what you need to do.
That
And
guy's
it's the
intense.
Joshua Smith way.
He's intense.
Get shit done.
Yeah. Man.
Very intense.
Yeah.
And he was on stage talking about his systems and processes, and I was going, oh, there's levels to this. There is levels. There is like a lot of sitting down and thinking and planning that needs to be done in order to like create this stuff. And it is building a business. It doesn't happen overnight.
No, geez, no.
And we had mentioned that earlier too, that like a new agent doesn't know what they don't know, honestly. So they don't really
anything.
know. Exactly. They don't
Yeah,
know
true.
how to start the business. They know that they need to find leads, but how?
I'm glad I didn't know any of this coming in. I would have been so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I would have been
You might have
I would have been so overwhelmed. I'm glad I was so naive and was just like, okay, I just need to do deals. Just do deals, find clients, buy and
Yeah.
sell. That's it.
But it is crazy what you step in, like you have your real estate license and
Oh.
you just step in like
Throw him to the wolves.
you don't even know how to like access like the back end systems coming out of the course. I was like, I
that's
couldn't
right.
imagine
Nothing.
stepping into this because I'm shy. So like I wouldn't even like speak up to ask the questions. Like if I was at a brokerage that didn't have good support and training and stuff, like
Right.
Right.
would have been gone within a month.
Yeah. And that's another thing about brick and mortar brokerages is a lot of times those brokers focus heavily on the top producing agents. So it's hard for new
Absolutely.
agents to get extra training and extra support because they're not bringing in all kinds of money for that brokerage. Where with EXP, our brokers, I'm almost positive they're all in salary. So they actually don't care who they're they're just there to support.
Yeah.
They're just there to support everybody, right? Like a new agent gets the same level of support as the top agent kind of deal, right?
Because you never know who's going to come in that you just needs a little bit of help and will become your top agent.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. And no, it's been an absolute game changer coming over to the Wolfpack. I was so glad to it was so serendipitous the way that it kind of happened for me like 3 years ago now. Has it been 3? I think 3 years in the Wolfpack.
Okay.
A buddy of mine who's not even selling real estate came up to me and said, "Have you heard of this Mike Sherrard guy?" And I was like, who? He said, Mike Sherrard. You have to meet him. You have to meet him. You have to set up a call with him. So then I set up a call with him, and then I sat talking to Mike, and he was just on a screen. I'm like, who is this guy shooting lasers through the screen? Just like so intense. And I was like, damn, is this ever like, and then, you know, everything I was talking about, every concern I had, EXP and the Wolfpack has a remedy for that, right? Like, you know, are you looking at building long-term wealth for your family? Like, it's willable. There's X amount of training. Social media is what you need to be doing. And it was like, I was like, this is exactly where I want to take my business. And it was kind of like my business was in a lull, because I'm like, I want to do more social media. I want to do this differently, but I didn't have the right tools and access to be able to do that. And then the Wolfpack provided all that.
Yeah.
Man, it's been huge.
I discovered Mike on YouTube. That's how I kind of became aware and familiar with EXP.
Yeah.
I found Mike on YouTube, and I've watched, you know, I'll say probably 90% of his videos.
Yeah. Well, because there's so much value there. You're going, wow, this is just chock filled.
That he's just giving away.
Giving away. Yep.
I think that's the key word, though, is value. When we were at the brick and mortar brokerage, I didn't feel like the value was there, especially with the cut that we were giving them.
Right.
And for me, I wanted to be with a brokerage that was innovative and progressive and an industry disruptor, honestly. Like, real estate is going to be changing, and we need brokerages that are going to disrupt what the traditional framework looks like.
Yes.
And that's what EXP to me feels like, looks like, is reality.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. This is the direction that real estate's going. I think EXP is the new Keller Williams in a way, where Keller Williams was a bit of a disruptor with the previous brick and mortar brokerages, the you know, the Remax. I don't want to start name dropping. People are going to get upset. But I think everybody knows who we're talking about here.
The names,
And then it's like, and then now you have EXP coming in, where there's the most agent-centric brokerage. Here's another thing. Since we've started at EXP, all the changes they've made to benefit the agents.
Yeah.
That just keep getting crazier. And it seems like every time there's a conference, there's a new drop of, and now we're going to do this for the agents. Yeah. Now you get Canva for free.
Yeah.
Now you're unlocking more tiers. So there's more revenue share going to be opened up. Yeah. Now and it's like, wow, I can't believe, just since I've even been an agent, there's been so much change for the agents to better the experience for the agents. It was already great when I started, and it just keeps getting better. And it's nice that they realize that it's like the agents that grow the company, right? So let's focus on the agents so that they can keep doing what they're good at. Yeah. And then, you know, a lot of people kind of looked at me and they're like, well, are you just doing this for a better split? And it's like, well, there's a better split, there's that. But then the more money I can keep in my pocket allows me to do things like this. I can reinvest back into my business.
Exactly.
I can take that extra little bit that I wasn't getting before, and I can reinvest that, and now have more access to better videos, get more equipment. I can service clients better now. Yeah. Like, the better I'm doing, the better I'm able to service people around me, right? Mm-hmm. So and that was my concept coming in. It's been very true. It's been very, very true, and just super, super glad. So you guys do find that that's been a pinnacle to help you turn a positive leaf for YouTube then.
It's like a light switch. It was
like
a
a light switch.
Light switch, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, right from day one. I've been so impressed. Like, I drug my feet a little bit. I was the one kind of like pulling us back a little bit because
right.
Because you're comfortable, right? Where you're at, you're generally comfortable, and comfortable is, well, it's easier, and you just kind of go about your day-to-day stuff.
And to be fair, you had been at the brokerage way longer than I had.
Yeah.
You knew everybody. I still didn't know everybody, and I'd been there for like a year. Yeah. But
this is the previous brokerage.
The previous brokerage, yeah. And I just never felt like I really truly fit in, and I was like, why am I here? I don't even feel welcomed. So it was, I don't know. I just was looking for something different and something that would push us forward.
Yeah. What I find is with the brick and mortar, it's funny because you think, okay, brick and mortar, I'm going to go into the office every day and I'll do my work, but I'll talk to people and all that. But we would go and there was never anybody there. It's because it's not like your regular 9 to 5 where you go to the office in the morning and you go to work and then you come home, right? Nobody
needs to be there.
Agents they're hopefully they're out,
Being
conducting their
busy,
business.
exactly.
I feel way more connected now with no official brick and mortar place, although we
Absolutely.
do have a place now in Moncton, but
Right.
it's a cloud brokerage, everything's online, but I feel more connected with EXP agents than I did before, which is
too.
kind of funny because
I was
there's
saying
no
that-
building to go to.
Yeah, I was saying that on the way here. Like our Tuesday night calls with 100 agents, like across Canada, across the US, I feel more connected with those agents and in that call than I ever did at any meeting at the brick and mortar brokerage.
Yeah. And it's even, and I mean, you guys got to get to the conferences because then you get to meet some of these people too, right? Because seeing them on a screen's one thing, like, and then it's like Jeremy Kane. You guys know Jeremy Kane from the Wolfpack calls. Like when I met him for the first time in Vegas, and then like I seen him when we were in Nashville and he picked me up, gave me a big hug. And I'm just like, this is very first time. Like he'd see me in a few months. He's like, get over here. And he's a big fella. Picked me
Nice.
right up, like spun me around. I'm just like, this is fun. This is fun.
Yeah. I'm where I belong.
Like, oh, it's awesome. And then you just get to meet all these people, and it's like, I think there's a similarity that Mike probably attracts too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similar type creative types, like A personalities, people that want to do well. Like, you know, you don't want to be around someone like Mike Sherrard if you're not looking for
If you're not looking to perform.
if you're not looking to perform and like do well, right? Like it's like he's going to bring out the best in you.
Yeah.
And it might be a little bit uncomfortable, and that's what I really do like is that we're actually in a group that's raising people. And I don't even think it's like I've done a podcast with Mike and Connor too, and it's like, you know, you guys have created some major waves in the industry.
Oh yeah. Hopefully.
Major waves with what they're doing. And I mean, there's over 3,000 agents in the Wolfpack globally. And then just even on Mike Sherrard's sponsor line, I think over 2,400 agents right around there. And it's like, you know, so, and it's the ones that show up and that put the work in that end up doing the best, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, that being said, do you guys have any closing thoughts? I figure we may as well get ready to land this plane.
I really just wanted to thank you for inviting us to do this. If you would have told me 5 years ago that I would be on a podcast, I would have laughed.
Right? Yeah.
Also, to have a YouTube channel, I would never have believed you. So this has been a great morning to spend here and to chat about our experiences.
I want to thank you guys so much for coming down, for taking the time to come here and do this with us, and we can do it again. And I'm excited to clip this up. And thank you everybody at home for watching. There's been a ton of take homes, a ton of wicked nuggets for any real estate agents out there that want to start on YouTube, or anybody in their own personal journey that maybe wants to start on YouTube. Like, if you're watching this at this point, like, use this as your permission to start it, because here's 4 examples of people that have been doing it and seeing great results with it. And it's just a matter of just doing it and starting, and then you kind of figure you're knocked out from there, right?
Exactly.
So
Yep.
what you guys are doing in Moncton is amazing. I'm super happy to be part of it and along with you guys. So
Yeah,
let's all grow together.
sounds good.
Right on.